Warning. This creepypasta is not for kids. It may contain disturbing content. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you're sensitive to horror, gore, or psychological themes, turn back now.
If you've ever watched CBeebies bedtime stories, you know how calming it usually is. A cozy presenter, soothing music, colorful animation, a bedtime staple for generations of UK children. But in the autumn of 2021, a single episode aired during the 6:50 PM slot, and then was never seen again. It's since been dubbed Sleep with the Moon Open, and trust me, it's not something you'd ever want your child to see. It started normally, at first. Stars twinkled, the soft lullaby began to play, but the tone was off. The sky didn't look peaceful. It was pitch black. Too black. The usual smiling CBeebies bugs floated into view, but something was wrong. They looked disturbed. Their big eyes were wide, shaking slightly, their smiles twitching. Then, the familiar moon descended from the sky, except it wasn't the moon. It was Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon. Huge. Grey. Scarred. And glowing red eyes were carved deep into its icy surface, staring directly at the viewer. The CBeebies bugs slowly backed away as the red eyes flared brighter. Then came the voice.
CBeebies Bedtime Story.
It sounded like several voices layered over each other, some childlike, some robotic, one that sounded like it was inside your head. When the story began, the camera zoomed into the dimly lit reading room. But this time, there was no warm set. The background was just space, black, endless, stars barely visible. In the armchair sat a shape. Not fully visible. Almost like a silhouette made of static. And then it spoke. It was a voice everyone knew, a voice recognized by children and adults alike. David Tennant. But his usual warmth was gone. He sounded empty, as if reading something he didn't understand but had to.
Tonight's story is about what happens when you leave the window open when the moon is watching.
It was called Sleep with the Moon Open. It followed a young girl named Elsie who couldn't sleep. She kept hearing scratching sounds on her bedroom wall. Her parents told her it was just the wind. But every night, the moon got closer to her window. And her dreams were filled with red eyes whispering in a language she didn't understand. David Tennant read in a voice that became increasingly fragmented. She dreamed of falling upward of Ganymede's surface splitting and something inside crawling out. The screen flickered every few seconds, showing flash frames, disturbing sketches of wide-eyed children with mouths full of stars, and a still image of the CBeebies moon with human teeth. The bugs returned, but they're not right. Midway through, the scene cut back to the CBeebies bugs. They were floating aimlessly in space. Their eyes were completely red. One of them turned to the camera and said, in a whisper, "He's behind you now," and then it cut to black. The screen stayed black for an uncomfortably long 10 seconds. Then, without warning, the red-eyed Ganymede face rushed the screen with a deafening roar. It was layered with distorted screams, children crying, and a backwards version of the bedtime story's lullaby. Then silence. The last image shown was a close-up of Elsie's face, her eyes now glowing red, whispering, "The moon is inside now." Aftermath. The episode was scrubbed from BBC archives within hours. Parents took to Twitter and read a reporting that their children were. Some claimed the TV turned itself back on at 3:15 AM, showing the eyes again. No one from the BBC has publicly acknowledged the episode's existence. But if you listen closely, sometimes when the real CBeebies bedtime stories airs, you can still hear the bugs whisper, "Don't look at the moon tonight."